Welcome to Unscripted. Today's show is rather special, as all are, of course. But today's is something else, guys. With me shortly is a power lady whose story will surely blow you away. Here's more about her on Dear Diary. But first, I need to tell you about a product that I have used and loved since I was very young. Nivea has always been my go-to because of my very dry skin. And this one in particular, thank you, Mercy, my producer, is enriched with cocoa butter that nourishes the skin, keeps my skin hydrated, left looking supple and more youthful, and of course, as well, if I could add, it smells really good, really good. Let's start the show as I indulge. Let's get it going.
I know very well that life has so many challenges, but as a person living with HIV for 27 years, you should be encouraged that everyone has their own challenges to face, and therefore we should, it's so maybe sad that we can never ever choose whatever challenges we face, but the only thing to do is have a force that really encourages us to move on.
And welcome to Unscripted. Time to finally get started and meet our amazing guest, Penny Awiti. It's such an honor.
It's such an honor.
Researching about your story, going online and seeing you being so bold and brave, I have to say thank you.
Thank you.
People don't realize how seeing another person being bold and brave and so authentic gives the rest of us that courage to do the same. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Well done. Your story is something else. So let's start from the beginning. We got a taste of it in Dear Diary, but let's start from the beginning. At 16 years old, when you have your whole life ahead of you, you discover some news that could possibly change your whole life. Take us back to that day and what happened.
Well, so there was this organization that came to our school, in high school, and then they were testing for HIV, and they were giving soda and bread.
Okay.
So you can imagine them sort of with soda and bread, you know. So I said, it's not a big deal. Okay. I mean, I was not even thinking of the HIV anymore. Okay. So I went and I tested. Testing for me, my goal was just having the soda and bread.
True.
And I remember the counselor that counseled me happened to be our school nurse, and she asked me, have you ever been tested before? And I told her no.
Okay.
And she said, do you have a boyfriend? And I said, no, I don't have a boyfriend. So at long last we tested, and then to my surprise, she's like, okay, you said you don't have a boyfriend? I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't have a boyfriend. And you remember what I told you about interpreting the results? Yeah. So they came double line. That means you're HIV positive.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So, and that was just it. There was no post-counseling or anything.
Nothing. That's all she told you?
Yeah. And she told me, you can now go. I knew that she's bluffing, one. Then two, we all never like our school nurses, because of kufinyo tumbo, that you're pregnant and all that, Yeah. So I just said that this mama, it's the usual attitude and all that,
Really?
But
So you didn't take her seriously?
At first, I didn't take her seriously. But then immediately, walking outside the door, because I didn't take her seriously, I went and registered for the soda and bread still. But then after holding the soda and bread, I'm like, oh my God, this may just be true, She can't just give such a thing. That was my blood sample and everything, you know. And I really loved food. For the first time in my life, I don't know how the soda and bread dropped off from my hands.
I can imagine.
I just felt like my world was so small. I was just done. I felt like, now this is real. In a family of 6, I'm the last born. And then, of course, I don't have parents. My mom passed on when I was 10. My dad when I was 5. I went to the dormitory, told my friend about my status. And of course, she said, no, you're joking, So I had to go and show her the paper. There was this paper that would be given especially when you test positive. It's written plus VE and then your name, your number.
Got it.
So I gave her, and she's like, oh my God, this is so true, you're positive. I remember the first reaction. She told me that she's had so many people, of course, in her family that are living with HIV. It's not a big deal, she'll be so supportive. Yeah.
Look at that.
So, so I felt
the first person you told was encouraging. And this is your age mate?
She was my age mate. So that was encouraging. And after 4 days, I was going to serve Githeri, the dining hall. I really loved Githeri so much, so much. Like I would be looking forward to Githeri days. So I went to serve, and then while at the queue, I had some whispers like ndio maana ni mnono anameza hizo dawa. So those days I was so hippie, of course, because of Githeri and all that, you know, the school life, yeah. So I figured my best friend had told someone, who told someone and told someone, you know. So our secret was leaked. So I went back to the dormitory and I asked her, like, did you tell anyone about our secret? And she said the first thing that she told me was that return my blanket and the uniform. I need the spoons. I was a very careless girl in high school. So by the time at Form 1, third, second week, I didn't have anything.
You had lost them all.
Yeah. So my best friend honestly was my backup plan. So she gave me everything, you know. She would give me skirts from her Form 4s that left, from 4 friends that left, yeah.
And now she wanted everything back.
Yeah. So she wanted all these things back, and she said, because you're going to infect me with the virus.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the first time that I ever faced stigma one-on-one, you know. I was so traumatized. I was like, okay, but now if my best friend knows and she's told almost the whole school, because if they're gossiping about it and they were not even in Form 2, I think those were Form 3s or 4s, yeah.
How did this affect you?
Then I definitely felt like I regretted having told her, but then at the same time I was like, okay, then I think I should be brave enough to tell even my counseling teachers they can help, yeah.
And also you mentioned that one of the comments they made was kunya dawa, meaning
yes,
ARVs.
Yes.
So had you started ARVs?
I was not on any meds.
You had not started any meds? Okay.
Yeah.
Because you've only confided in a fellow student. You haven't talked to a counselor, any adult.
Yeah.
So you had no idea what to do.
So I went to my counseling teacher and I told her I really need to talk to my sister. There was a sister of mine who would be coming to visit me every single time.
Okay.
I told her I really, really need to talk to her because I'm losing it and I'm positive. I discovered when the last time that these people were here for testing HIV and all that. So she said, okay, it's okay. We can call your sister and then she will come and you guys can talk. So
so from the counselors and the adults, you didn't get any stigma or
not really
pushback?
Yeah, so she called my sister. My sister came after I think 2 days.
Okay.
And she told me, so they all broke the news to her, of course. Now you were like the 3-4 of us because there were 2 counseling teachers, me and my sister. So she said, yeah, you know, there's no one who really had the courage to tell you that you are HIV positive because mom...
So they knew.
Yeah. When dad and mom passed on, it was a very, it was trying moments for all of us, and there was no one who was actually just willing to disclose that you are HIV positive, yeah. So, and you were born with it, and there was a time that my mom and dad separated. So when they reunited, I think there was someone who had moved on, and when they came back, they were infected, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So I was the only person who was infected with the virus.
So from all your siblings, it was just you?
Yeah.
And everyone else knew but you?
Yeah.
How did you feel at that moment?
Of course, betrayal.
That?
I felt so betrayed. I was like, that's not a very genuine reason, as much as they wanted to quote all the English in the world and all that. I was just like, but I lied. I remember just saying, it's okay, it's fine, you know, it's fine, I'll just move on. I mean, it's not a big deal. See, you guys are here. But at the back of my mind, I'm like, these people are evil. Right? How can you even do that? Like, how do you walk with yourself every day knowing that I'm HIV positive?
Even, did you have questions for, if you knew I was sick, why wasn't I on medication? Why wasn't
Exactly, and I would be sickly. That is even worse. Now it started making sense. I had the mumps, you know.
As a child?
Yeah. Okay. I was in and out of the hospital. I had tuberculosis. I had pneumonia, you know, all these opportunistic infections.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that was Form 2, second term. When I finally went back home, of course, they had to run all those tests and all that, yeah. The viral load. And that time it was CD4 counts, not the viral load like this time.
Okay.
Yeah, and the CD4 counts were very low. I had like 115 CD4 counts. A normal human being should have over 350 and above. And if you're infected, you should have that. I mean, a normal human
Yikes.
being living with HIV should be having 350
So yours
and
was
above.
very low.
Yeah, very, very low. And you know, CD4 counts defines the immunity. So that means that my immunity was so low and weak, yeah. And I remember immediately being put on the meds, on now the ARVs. I had to go back to school still, to the same school, because my sponsor was my uncle.
Okay.
And he had paid for the whole 4 years.
So you had to go back the
So
same
I had to go back.
Face the stigma as you're taking medication.
I didn't have a luxury of saying, you know what, nichenjeni shule mnipeleke. No.
Oh, no.
I had to deal with it.
At a very young age.
Yeah. But while taking my meds, you know, it was odd hours. It was 9 a.m., 9 p.m. people are in class. I could not just tell the teacher that I'm out going to take my ARVs straight up. I could not say that.
Of course.
Even after everyone knew that I'm HIV positive, it could not come from my mouth that, yes, I'm HIV positive, never.
And I can understand that's not an easy conversation to have. We have to take a short break though.
Okay.
We'll be right back with more from Feni Awiti as she tells us what it's like living with HIV for 27 years, believe it or not. And we're filming right here at Intim Sidai. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Unscripted with me, Grace Salame and Feni Awiti. Feni, you just said in the first part that I mean, discovering something so huge when you're such a young age and so innocent, and then having to go back to an environment where people already know that you have HIV and just face the stigma daily.
Yeah.
So life as you know it, how did it change? Please break that down for us.
Well, like I said, I had to narrow down my priorities, and one of them was not education in an environment where I needed to study, you know.
Yet you said something interesting. You said you were punishing them.
Yeah.
Yet the actual thing is you were hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with them, because the studies benefit you, right?
Oh, exactly.
But at that point you reasoned, these guys don't deserve.
Yeah, they don't deserve anything good coming from me and school and all that. So, well, I was basically using defense mechanism, and I knew it. Yeah.
Oh, you
so,
knew it? You were aware?
I knew. I was just like, you know what, at this time, I'm only 16 years old. I'm required to get an A. Same time, take the ARVs. Same time, smile
like
and forgive everyone. No, I can't do that. I need to choose a struggle, you know. And one of them is not studying.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then I think one of the things that even made me have very low spirits in studying was that my teachers would beat me up with the Bunsen burner, the pipes.
Why?
You know, in our school, we would be caned by the pipes those days, yeah. But now, if you're at the wrong place, the wrong time and all that, yeah. So I remember every single time I would go to take my ARVs,
They would come and beat you.
yeah, you're out of class, and you are not supposed to be out of class at this time. I also cannot say that, you know what, I've come out of class because I need to go and rush and take ARVs. There were the cabins where we were keeping our utensils and all that. It was a long distance, yeah, because my school was so huge. I studied in a
and you
Sumbi
said
girls.
earlier, you couldn't take it in the morning when you wake up and at night when...
No, I needed to do it at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. because
When
that
you're
is
in class
what,
already.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that is what we agreed with my counselor back
Got
at
it.
home.
Got
Yeah,
it.
but now I would receive 2 pipes, 9 a.m., 2 pipes, 9 p.m.
Every day.
every single day up to the time I was done with Form 4.
But why didn't you speak to your counselor or teacher and tell them what you're doing?
No, I didn't want, I felt like at this time, the counselors would also go and tell the teachers, you know, if you see Feni Awiti outside,
Anakunywa dawa.
anameza dawa, please mwache.
So you didn't want it to spread.
But then it spread either way to one of the teachers. I remember there was a teacher who came to class one time and raised asked who is Feni Awiti, and then I raised my hand and she said, okay, I just wanted to know.
So you knew what that was.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my God, I'm just the topic of discussion in class, in the office, and that even made me not study at all.
I can imagine.
So the results of not studying, of course, is so normal. I got a C- in a school where like I had to really, really work hard. I felt like I disappointed my uncle so much. I remember not even showing him the slip, the result slip. Yeah, but then after that, of course, I had to really think about, now I said, okay, it's enough. You've dealt with betrayal. Okay. You've accepted yourself now as HIV positive.
Because how did you get there? Did you at any point feel life is over and there's no hope for me? Or what kept you going? What made you take the meds every single day?
What made me take the meds is that I had information. I wanted to ask more. I remember I went to a reverend sister because it was a Catholic school, and she was so educated in terms of biology and all that. And I asked her step by step, how does HIV get into the body? Can I really know the exact time that I got infected? What are the chances of my survival and everything? Yeah. So and she really told me, no, it's not a big deal. Step by step, she took me through it, and she told me that the only way for you to survive is by taking your ARVs, because they will suppress this virus. If you don't take your ARVs, it means that the virus will multiply every second in millions.
At what point did you decide, I'm going to go public, and why?
I decided to go public because, one, I didn't feel like it's a big deal. I knew that I'm going to just make a post like any other post that I've always made on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it would just be that, like, hi guys, I'm in town, who wants to have coffee? The way those days would say such things, Yeah. And it would go like that,
Yeah.
So, and of course, after high school, I wanted, before discovering I was positive, I wanted to become a business administrator, I think.
All right.
But then after that, I'm like, oh my God, I really want to venture into HIV counseling and really help people. Yeah.
So from high school, you knew you'd get into activism of sorts?
No, not really, but I knew I would do counseling. I knew I would want to study more about HIV, and that's what I did. So, and then after that, I'm like, okay, so I have all this knowledge about HIV and counseling and all that. I need to reach out to people.
It to myself, yes.
Yeah, but before that, I started volunteering at some organization. It was called Women Fighting AIDS in Kenya, WOFAC. WOFAC is still there up to date. And after that, I met so many people living with HIV in the community and all that. But I felt like, no, I need to do more, My younger generation is online. So maybe if I come out, then I can make this post, and for only one post, I shall have encouraged people. But I knew I would only make one post and maisha itaendelea.
And what happened after?
So I made this post. It got over, I think, 1,000 shares.
Look at that.
I don't know, over, I think, 3,000 likes, I think.
And what did you say exactly?
I just said, hi guys, I'm positive. I discovered when I was 16. My story, literally everything. I have 2 babies. They are now HIV negative, blah, blah, blah. We separated with the dad and all that. He was also everything, And of course, it's social media.
Yeah, it went viral.
Yeah, and then, but as social media, we have very negative comments, very positive comments,
So how did the world respond to this news?
Most of them were positive. But, some of them started saying that, oh, it's not true, you're lying. Well, there are some people who are like, how many people have you infected so far?
No way.
Yeah, there are some people who are saying, no, you're lying to you're like saying that your mom infected you, but you infected yourself.
You've got to be kidding.
Yeah.
Just ignorant comments.
Yeah. So there were so many things that happened at the same time. But then that's when I started developing a very thick skin. You
have to.
Towards people on social media. I'm like, you know what, guys, the only thing that is connecting me and you is the Wi-Fi and the bundles. Yeah.
Let's talk about stigma, like I had mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
To date, in 2019, I still can't believe we still have this conversation. Paint the picture of the reality. What are the misconceptions that are still out there, and how far longer, or how much more do we have to do to, I don't know if it's end the stigma or sensitize of people to empathize? What is the state?
Compared to when I came out in 2017, we are doing well, but not that much, because even in 2017, I knew when I would tell the world that I'm HIV positive, it won't be a big deal. So for it to be a big deal, then it means that there was stigma by then. And then now, I feel like, in short, there's lack of information.
Still,
we are so,
to date?
Yes, because till now,
ignorance.
someone is still asking me, how did you get HIV negative babies and you're HIV positive? You're lying to us. There are some misconceptions like ARVs trigger your sexual.
Oh, is that what people
Yeah, yeah, they make you like sexually
Wow.
aroused.
Okay.
ARVs would well, one of the things that is so true though is
Okay.
that ARVs would either reduce some parts of your body or increase them.
Yes, yes,
which
yes.
is so
That
so
is
true.
true,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Either
then,
lose weight or add weight, is what you're
yeah,
saying. Yes.
yeah. But then weird parts of the body. So like now me, my boobs became so huge, and then I lost the hips.
I see.
Yeah, and then my legs became so thin.
And
Yeah.
it works differently, different people. Depends
Exactly.
on how your body
So it
responds
depends.
to the medication.
Yeah,
Okay.
with so many things. But then we have so many things that are happening. Like people would say automatically when you have HIV, you have TB. You know? People really need to know that they're opportunistic infections. But apart from that, TB is just TB on its own as well. In as much as about 80% of people living with HIV are also can have TB and all that, yeah. So I would say that stigma and misconceptions majorly come with lack of knowledge, you know, illiteracy, basically. And then another thing that is always said is that when your lips are red, that means that you're HIV positive.
I think I remember that from way back
Yeah,
then. I remember hearing that at some point.
So it's always
So we
like
still have
that.
a long way to go.
We still have a long way to go. It's sad enough it's 2019, almost 2020.
Imagine.
Yeah.
And at what point did you decide activism is necessary?
Well, after coming out, reading those comments, I'm like, okay, I still have more knowledge. I still have more awareness to
There's
create.
a lot more I can teach.
Yeah. So then that's when I discovered, okay, then the best thing to do, I cannot maybe go in front of the parliament and start doing activism, literally like say, hey, HIV, you know, or something and all that. I really
And who
need
knows?
to. Yeah.
Would you vie for a seat one day?
Oh my God, no.
No? Okay.
No,
then.
I can't go there.
Okay.
But I just said I would concentrate more on social media because this is where the youth are. I was once told that I'm romanticizing HIV.
What do you mean?
Like positively, it's like I'm promoting it. I'm advertising like Ukimwi is not a big deal and all that. So you know,
What is your
it's so
response to
hard.
that?
My response was that it's so hard for people to gauge between living positively with HIV and just hiding in your
Encouraging
cocoon
There you go.
and saying, you know what, me niko na ukimwi, I'm going to die.
So people need to figure out
They
that
really need
balance.
to balance, you know.
Okay.
I would have chosen that path of, you know what, now me I'm HIV positive, I'm dying.
Exactly. And like I said earlier, that happens.
Exactly,
That happens.
yeah. So I chose to say, okay, I'm HIV positive. There's positively living with HIV. What foods can I have in that case, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a baby on set. Welcome, Ahadi. Mommy, 24-hour, 24/7 job, I get it.
Yeah.
But I have to ask you, you mentioned earlier, but you've been taking ARVs for 11 years. That is a very long time, Awiti. Do you ever have days where you're like, enough is enough, I'm tired?
Definitely. When I separated with the father of my kids, I was like, okay, I'm so done. You know, my main aim of taking the ARVs was like, I need to suppress the virus, you know?
see.
And when I suppress the virus, I cannot infect him. So we were living as a discordant couple. So that time I really felt like I don't really have a purpose to like take these meds anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And then,
Even with your babies there, you still felt
yeah,
that?
because they're already HIV negative. You know, I had gone through that and they're already HIV negative. But I also felt like, okay, if I don't
But you
take these
stopping
meds...
means you could die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when that's when I started figuring out, okay, if I stop taking these meds, then it means that they're going to multiply in millions, you know? And possibly they would be detectable because now I'm undetectable.
Okay.
And it would mean that I can get opportunistic infections and die very fast, yeah? And of course, as mothers, we always look out for our kids, you know? You're like, oh my God, I can't leave them here and all that, yeah. So my main reason to actually keep on taking the ARVs are the babies. For me, yeah, I'm like, no, I really, really need to do this for them. Yeah.
Okay. On that note, we'll be right back. Time for Hadi and Mommy to bond. We'll be right back with Awiti. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Unscripted with me, Grace Simsalame. Special thanks to Team Sidai for hosting us in this beautiful sanctuary. Penny Awiti, asante sana for coming onto the show and sharing your story and coming with your beautiful babies.
Yeah.
She has beautiful children.
Thank you.
Let's talk about relationships. You alluded to that earlier. The earlier part of the show, and that's how you got your beautiful babies. How has that journey been like for you when it comes to relationships and dating?
It's been so tough because one thing, of course, the stigma. There's a part that I joked and said that if you want to really explain to a HIV negative man that you cannot infect him with the virus, then you need to do a dissertation, make sure that it's approved and everything.
Really?
Because, and you don't have time. They don't have time for that, It's like, no, you're lying to me, So
it's been hard, pretty much.
Yeah, I've had like over 15 men rejecting me. And it's been so hard. You're so tempted to not to say anything to them. Yeah, and that's how people become infected, and that's how people start keeping secrets in relationships, But then on my side, I was like, okay.
You were always honest from day one.
Yeah, good. But now I felt, at some point, I felt like, okay, Fanny, you're undetectable. It means even if you don't tell this man that you're HIV positive, you won't infect him. So there's no reason for you to tell him, But then I'm like, okay, if we are so serious with each other, then at what point he'll have to find out.
True.
And it would be so really, really bad. He will be so disappointed in me and all that.
So you'd rather say it from the beginning. From the beginning,
yeah. So it's been disappointing. I've had my share in relationships. Yeah. Weird enough, most of the guys that I found were HIV negative. Yeah. Until now, I got a HIV positive guy. But then I was not like intending to, now we are HIV positive. Now let's come. No.
But you can tell me about the father of your kids. How did that happen? Because he was HIV negative.
Yeah.
How did that come to be?
Well, just like the 15 of them.
After all those failed.
Yeah. So I just said, okay, I'm HIV positive and I cannot infect you because I've been taking my ARVs very well and my viral load is suppressed and now I'm undetectable. They never let you finish all that.
Oh, okay. It never gets that far?
Yeah, HIV positive, fine.
Out.
I'm done. Yeah.
Wow.
So, well, he was so patient enough to listen to all that.
Even before you answer, how does that take a toll on your heart and your self-esteem, that rejection constantly?
You're just like, oh my God, how did this even happen? How did I even get there? I wish I would be HIV negative, So you of course, your self-esteem is lowered, You don't have confidence in yourself. You don't have confidence in the other person that you're about to hold conversation with. So it's so hard, really.
Yeah. But what was different with this guy?
Well, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe it was just God sent, because I can't say that he was educated about HIV.
Okay.
After realizing that I was positive, he said, so where do we go? Because I love you. So I told him, okay, we can go to my counseling, my counselor, and then they would guide us on the way forward. So he accepted. We went to the clinic, and then he was told that, this is how you guys would live together and all that,
Okay, so you went for counseling, both of you?
Yeah, we went for counseling. And he was testing after every 3 months.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. And he was okay all that time.
Yet unfortunately, that's now in the past. Are you guys okay? Are the kids okay? You can talk about it if you want to.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
We are fine. He checks up on us once in a while, but then he's not like in our lives literally. In terms of physically being there, we don't co-parent and all that. Maybe he'll communicate twice or once a year.
And it just didn't work out?
Yeah. So, but that's okay,
Okay, and nothing to do with your status?
No.
How our normal relationships would end?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That's fine. Yet now you're engaged.
Yeah.
Please, camera, focus on the
God.
ring. Show them your beautiful ring.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did that beautiful, happy ending happen for you?
So I met this guy in 2016. Okay. Immediately I separated with the father of my kids, and then of course I felt like it would be a rebound, So I started taking it slow with it, And then at long last I said, okay, from last year then we could work things out, So then, so I went to visit him this time. He's German, so I went to Germany to visit him, and then he proposed.
Aww.
Yeah.
And there's a difference with him. You said he's HIV.
He's HIV positive, yeah.
So how did you guys meet?
We met in Kenya, here in Kenya. And of course, when he told me at first that he's HIV positive, I was like, no, you're like, weirdly, people are so weird. In my relationships, those two hurdles, I met a guy who said that he was HIV positive, but he was negative.
He said
Yes.
it's just
so that he would like maybe soothe my ego, I think, or something like that. So I
this
told
time
him
you
no.
didn't believe it initially.
Yeah, you're lying, you know. So, but then with time, I discovered that he's truly HIV positive. You know, he's been on meds from 2009.
Okay.
Yeah, barely 10 years, and me 11 years. Yeah.
Do you feel this dynamic makes it easier for you? For both of you?
Honestly, for me, it makes it easier because I wish I say that it makes it hard because I would want HIV negative people to not have this mentality of
fear.
like, you know, I'm going, because I have so many people that confide in me and they're like, oh my God, how am I going to tell my boyfriend that I'm HIV positive? But I know very well that I'm undetectable and all that. So at some point I always say, this has really saved me a lot from writing that dissertation. I no longer have to write it.
To go through that process.
Yeah.
And the reality is, I mean, your children are HIV negative.
Yeah.
Imagine. In fact, to a woman at home who could be HIV positive and she's discovered she's pregnant, I'd like you to paint the reality for them of how their children and their babies can also be HIV negative.
So this is it. When you discover, if you're a woman at home and you discover immediately that you're HIV positive, what happens, because you'll always get tested for HIV during your NNC, right?
Yeah.
So what you do is you go to the, you'll start on your ARVs.
Yeah.
When you start on your ARVs, there's a syrup that normally should be at your clinic, inside your clinic bag.
Okay.
It's called nevirapine.
All right.
So this nevirapine, you'd administer to the baby the first 6 weeks after giving birth to them.
Okay.
But then in the meantime, you just take your ARVs normal. It's so normal, just like you're not pregnant, you know. And immediately you give birth to baby. 1 hour after birth, the way they always say that 1 hour after birth you might start breastfeeding them and all that, yeah? That's the time that you give them this ARV syrup.
Okay.
From that 1 hour up to 6 weeks.
Got it.
And then after that, you start administering something called Septrin. I think these days they do Zidovudine. Zidovudine is another type of ARVs. I'm not so sure what they give these days.
You administer to the child?
Yeah, the child up to 2 years. Now, during this time, 6 weeks, the baby is tested. If they are negative, they should be negative. I gave birth to my baby's normal delivery.
Well done.
It was all normal, yeah.
Okay.
So it's so normal. Everything is so normal.
possible.
Yeah, you should not like fear that because I'm positive,
to
I'll
do
do
a
a CS. No, never.
Okay.
Provided you yourself, you are undetectable.
Yes, and you're on
Being
ARVs.
undetectable is like being HIV negative, but HIV lives in you. Basically, that's it.
Got it.
So at 6 weeks when they're negative, then 3 months, then 9 months, then is it 12 months, then 18 months, and then after 2 years, when the child is really, really negative, then they are discharged from the PCR. We call it PCR. So yeah, so that's, I gave the babies medicine for 2 years.
Okay. And after that, they're fine.
And then
Like,
after
they don't
that,
need any medication.
Yeah, but
afterwards.
then even when you realize that they are negative, keep giving them.
Okay.
It is the same way. At 6 weeks, they were negative. At 3 months, they were negative. At 9 months, they were negative, you
At
know.
2 years.
Yeah, but now something happens, and in the process, breastfeed them. Be normal, you know, exclusive
'Cause they're taking
breastfeeding for the first
medication
6
and
months.
so are
yeah,
you.
and it means that myself, the virus is so minimal that I cannot pass it to
undetectable.
anyone else, the baby or even a partner.
Okay.
It's so minimal. When you're undetectable, it means that you have less than 30 or 20 copies of the virus in your body, cannot even be transmitted to another person.
I see.
Yeah.
And as you wrap, any last words or encouraging words to anyone at home watching you?
Well, I would say this, you know, people at home, people face different challenges. You know, we have HIV is just one of them. We have diabetes, we have cancer, we have so many chronic infections. And it's not even about the infections. We all face our different challenges. And one thing I love about life is that we all have a struggle that you're going through, you know, be it psychological or in terms of your illness and all that. So I would say if now choosing my struggle as HIV, then manage it so well, you know, manage your struggle so well. Everyone is going through something. Be kind to people, you know, and especially on people living with HIV at home, HIV is manageable. It's so cheap. You don't have to pay for ARVs. Well, recently I had their stockouts of ARVs and all that, but then normal cases, you don't have to pay for ARVs. It's so normal, and it's so easy to manage this virus. So be positive about everything, yeah.
What are you most grateful for, Awiti?
I'm grateful for life.
I can tell.
Yes, I'm really, truly grateful for life, not theoretical, so practical. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Awiti, and sharing your story so honestly, authentically, and being brave. Tunashukuru sana. Like I said earlier in the beginning, I think having people like you gives us and people at home just the courage to also to own our story and inspire others.
Thank
so
you for
tunashukuru
having
sana.
me.
And because of that, to show you how much we appreciate you, Nkona zawadi.
Hey.
You don't just come on our show and go empty-handed.
Wow.
Thanks to Nivea. I'm a big fan, and I'm not just saying that. I use their brands. And for you, there's a new nourishing cocoa cream.
Wow.
Do you use this? You told me that you use this at
No,
home.
I use the other one.
Which
I
is the other
think, yeah, the normal lotion, yeah.
Yeah? How does it work for you?
It works so well. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so soft. It smoothens the skin.
Right?
Even for the babies.
Oh, used for the kids as
Yeah,
well?
yeah. They never have any
wow.
complications, major complications with their skin and all that.
Look at
no.
that. So
Yeah.
now we've added for you extra stock. I know for
Thank
me, I
you.
normally have very dry skin. So this really helps because it has cocoa butter.
Yeah.
And it's nourishing and my skin glows all day. So to anyone at home, if you're looking for something for your dry skin, this is the secret. Approved by myself and you.
Yeah.
So yeah, we wish you all the very best, my dear.
Asante.
Thank you so much. And to you at home, thank you for watching. We appreciate you and love you. Special thanks to Team Sidai for hosting us. Until next week, God bless and goodbye. Hi, Mama. Welcome to the set. You didn't join us the whole show. Eh? You've seen Mommy on TV. Are you happy? Mommy has done well?